Good afternoon, everyone, to the students, supervisors that are watching, and other community that is joining us this afternoon. And I will be talking about the student-supervisor relationship. If you look at the picture in front of you, there's a perspective between the supervisor and the student. Sometimes we think that the supervisor, when they look at us, they see just the brain and nothing else. And yet, we are human beings as students that have hopes, that have dreams, we have feelings, you know, there's a lot about us. And I hope that this session we will unpack that a little bit so that we can try and bring in some harmony between the two relationships. That is the supervisor. They are not the main actors here, but they're making sure that at the end of your journey, you get an award or a certificate. And I've chosen this cartoon because this is supervisors. They're tired. They want to go on holiday. They want to go on leave. They're exhausted. And the last thing they want to see walking through their offices are students. So always be mindful that when you are approaching your supervisor, you have a reason to approach them, because the last thing they want to do is to waste time discussing things with students, but it is necessary at times. So who is the supervisor? The supervisor is someone that oversees your research as a student. So, which means that is that special person. You cannot move forward. You cannot, there's documents that needs to be signed. They cannot move forward without the signature of your supervisor. So they make sure that you develop your treatise, your dissertation, your thesis, or your manuscript, depending on what is the end product of your research journey. So they are the ones that will oversee that process. Their role is to mentor you, support you, guide you in order for you to reach the highest standard. We want you to be the best of the best. So the goal of the supervisor is to make sure that at the end, you can safely say, you know what, I am the best. And they make sure also that you grow in terms of research. You develop good research skills. So later on, we're going to talk about what is expected as a researcher. So supervisors are either academic staff members, they are also experts in the field. They can be in the corporate sometimes or research associates, but they have to have achieved at least some high achievement in that field that makes them good enough to come and guide you and supervise you in the field. And these can be either a principal supervisor or a co-supervisor. Co-supervisor, I think Prof. Naidu did touch on co-supervision, and you can have more than one. For my PhD, I had three supervisors. Main supervisor specialty is biochemistry. Second supervisor specialty was pharmacology. And the third supervisor specialty was chemistry. So it was a multidisciplinary project, and I had three supervisors that took me through my PhD journey. So if you want to know more about some of the responsibilities of a supervisor, the postgraduate policy has a nice articulated summary of responsibilities of a supervisor. Three functions that you can expect from a supervisor: educational, they are very clever; administrative, they keep you in line; and supportive, they are human beings, they have feelings. So these are three functions of a supervisor. First one, educational. You do not want to be supervised. Let's say you are a nurse. You do not want a supervisor that is in a law, unless there's a part of your project that requires law in nursing. I'm not sure, maybe David, you'll know this better, but they can come in as an advisor or as a consultant. But you want your supervisor to specialize in the field that you have chosen to do your project in. So if you want to do a project in pharmaceuticals, you want a supervisor that specializes in pharmaceuticals, because in that journey, they must guide you into selecting a nice topic that is suitable and manageable. So they are the ones that will guide you into finalizing that topic. And also they need to assess your competence. So which means throughout your journey as a supervisor and a student, they are checking if you are learning anything. So how you write or how you talk to him or her, they will listen to you and they will hear that, okay, she's grasping the subject now, she's grasping the knowledge. So they're assessing you if you are really getting the competence and the understanding on the field. And then, most importantly, what students need to understand is guidance. Keep that word, guide. Supervisors are not there to do your project for you. They're there to guide you. So they will guide you into drafting the proposal. So you write whatever you're writing, and then you bring it to them, then they scrutinize it, pay attention and take heed, listen to their advice and implement it. If you're not sure, have a discussion with them. But remember, they know better than you. So you need to be able to listen to them. But also remember, they may have old information. You are the ones you are the one that is doing literature, research or literature review. So chances are there's information that is new that your supervisor hasn't come across. So you can always say, but this is what I read, and then the supervisor will listen to that and then, try and implement that. So when you draft your proposal, they will help you, they will assist you with all the resources that you need with the proposal. They will also assist you with the methodology design, making sure that it is acceptable in the academic environment. Instrumental techniques, what instruments are you going to use for your project? If it's laboratory instruments, they will make sure that you get training for that, or they will outsource someone to help you with that part of the project. Data collection, they will guide you with your data collection. Data analysis and interpretation, they will check your data, whether you are presenting it well, analyzing it properly, and so on. And then they will also choose the examination panel for you, because at the end of the day, when you are done with your project, someone must examine your work for you to graduate. So they will choose the examiners for you. Now we move to the administrative responsibilities. This is very important when it comes to administration, because the two of you need to come up with a plan. How are you going to interact with one another? First of all, as supervisors, even though we understand the educational part or the expertise, but there are processes in the journey of a postgraduate that supervisors don't know. Today, you are sitting here and you're listening to me talking. This is a workshop, very important. And I kid you not, some of you can simply say at the end, I had no idea that this is what is expected of me. But people came today and they talked to you and they explained things to you. So workshops and trainings are always available, and your supervisor is there to encourage you to attend these programs, because sometimes you want to apply for scholarships, you want to apply for funding, and people will, the university will bring people that will train you or encourage you on these things, or come and give you information. And most importantly, training on plagiarism. You don't want to be a plagiarizer, if there's such an English term like that. So plagiarism is one of the things. So you will be taught about referencing, how to cite, how to do all those things to try to avoid plagiarism, because that is a criminal act. Setting timelines, milestones, and to monitor your progress. Timelines are very important. From the beginning, you need to know where is your target, when do you want to graduate. If you say, okay, it's the 31st of January, I'm registered, and I want to graduate next year, I want to finish next year, December. So which means you already set yourself that you have 23 months to do your master's project. When are you going to submit your proposal? That needs to be spelled out. When are you going to start doing your data collection? So all these timelines, you sit down, you discuss those with your supervisor, and then you make sure you stick to them. These milestones are very important. You cannot have a journey like this one and not have milestones. Milestones, you can identify milestones. They're there, they're unique to everyone. And also the supervisor will make sure they will monitor your progress. So which means you come back, you tick, you finish this. When you look into your timeline, you tick, okay, this one is done, this one is done, this one is done. So they're there to monitor. And if you are not pulling up your socks, they will come hard on you. Feedback sessions are very important. This is how you make sure that you stick to your timeline, by having regular feedback sessions. And also the supervisor, whenever you submit something, they will make sure that they respond to you timelessly. So if you submit your first draft, maybe within a week or two, they'll come back with your response with whatever comments that they have. Other administrative duties of a supervisor: make sure that you have access to facilities. So if you need access to a laboratory or to certain places in the university, they will request access for you. Access to research material. Some of us who work in the laboratory, our supervisors made sure that we have enough reagents to do our experiments. Library resources. I'm sure every faculty, you do literature review or literature research. And sometimes some journals are not open access, so you need interlibrary loans. So your supervisor will help you there. Funding opportunities. This is also your responsibility to look around for funding, but your supervisor will also guide you into finding, scholarships that are available. Conferences. If you're doing a master's or a PhD, always have that desire to want to go to a conference. So be proactive. Check if there's any conferences that are available so that you can go and showcase your data or your outputs. So your supervisor will help you as well in that regard. It may be presentations within the university or outside the university with people in the same field as you. And also they will caution you when it comes to deadlines. Maybe if you need to submit something to the faculty, that they will remind you of the deadlines, but also the responsibility lies with the student. So when we talk about the support, now we go back to that first slide that we look at, supporting each other, the supervisor and the student. It starts with recognizing that the student is a human being. They have feelings, they have relationships, there's things that are going on in their lives. So always as supervisors, we try not to look at you as if you're a stick with a brain. We try and understand that you are a complex human being. Emotional support versus tough love. It's not easy to give someone tough love if you're not supporting them emotionally. Sometimes if I'm going to be hard on you, at least know the soft side of me, know the kind side of me before I can give you tough love. Otherwise, you're going to be scared of the supervisor. So supervisors will always make sure that they give tough love. They give emotional support before they give tough love. So these two work better together. Emotional support, you encourage the student. It's always nice when someone tells you, you can do it, and you're thinking, yo, prof, I'm so scared, and the prof says, no, you can do it, go, you can do it. It's nice to have someone who's pushing you forward to becoming a better person. It's also nice to be told that you can work independently. You don't want to be a student that is always being spoon-fed. You want to be given the opportunity to work independently. So it's nice to be pushed forward by the supervisor. So which means they are confident in your abilities. The pat on the back, it feels good when your supervisor says, wow, this is beautiful data. You leave that office feeling like Superman because you were scared before you went to show him the data. And the next thing, and one time my supervisor once said to me, this is publishable data. Man, he made my whole year just to know that my data is publishable. After working for hours and weekends, now my data is publishable. It's nice when your supervisor says that to you, give you that pat on the back. And they do criticize you constructively. They do criticize, be prepared to be criticized. Always expect a red pen. When you submit a document, always expect a red pen. Don't be naive and think that it's going to be yes, 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 yes. There will be a lot of no's. Be prepared for that. But remember, it's constructive criticism. I found this one, I laughed at it because I've always prayed that the last block never happens when someone tells me that my writing is bad. I've always kept my fingers crossed. You do not want a relationship where the student is expecting the worst out of a supervisor. So supervisors are meant to guide you, not write for you. Imagine you submit a first draft of your literature review. You come back, it's being rewritten. It's not everything. It's not what you submitted, but it's his work. We don't want that kind of relationship. So when it comes to constructive criticism, you're still pushing the students to go back and do it again, but you don't do it for them. And then also protecting the student. You know, the journey of a postgraduate is not yours alone. It's others. You've got other colleagues, everyone in the department. So the supervisor will always make sure that they protect the student. You should go into a feedback session where all academics are sitting there and the student is presenting and there's other students. And then there's that one professor that will just come in from the west and they'll just lay on you. You should watch the supervisor. They'll respond on your behalf. So supervisors, they do that. They were like, no, please don't, because they can see that now they're pushing you against the corner. So supervisors always protect the students from harassment, discrimination, and conflict. They will guide you, they will caution you, especially if they know that, don't touch that one, don't rattle that one. It will, you'll be opening a can of worms. So always caution your student and protect them. And then ensure a safe research environment. And then promote communication. Communication is very, very important. Always communicating, because if you don't communicate, I am not going to know what is happening in your life. Ask me about it. I've been there when I didn't communicate with my supervisor that morning I had lost my aunt at 5 a.m. and I was supposed to present my data. It was still within the first 6 months of my project. And I went and I presented my data. It was a mess. That data was a mess. So he was very angry with me. So his tone crushed me even worse. He didn't know that I was grieving. When I was doing my PhD, my mom got sick, ended up in ICU, told my supervisor. He was checking on me every single day. Later on, my dad got sick and it was bad. And he was checking on me every single day. Then my dad died. And then he said to me, take your time. And I called him, Prof, I want to stay an extra week just to check if my mom is okay. No, go ahead, So the response that you will get from a supervisor when you are grieving is different from a response you will get if you didn't tell them, because you go there with a very, very messy data and they'll be very hard on you. But if they know that you are going through something, their approach is going to be more tender because they know that you are sad. And I was like, you know what? Go home, just take time off and relax. Go back and redo the day. They will approach it in a more tender. But if it's just an ordinary day, I do not like this. I'm not impressed with this. Go back and do, because if you submit something, you will fail. Sometimes we talk like that to the students, but you don't want to talk like that to someone who's going through something. So if you are communicating with your supervisor, they will be more empathetic, they will be more flexible. They will, change the timeline a little bit to accommodate what you're going through, and they'll be more sensitive to your needs, especially if you're not well, you need to go for an operation and all of that. Communicate with your supervisor. Tough love. Tough love promotes accountability. It promotes accountability. If you are not tough, if the supervisor is not tough with the student, then it means that then you are not going to, okay, that is my phone ringing there and it's distracting me. It's probably those telemarket people. I'm sorry, guys. So accountability, it teaches the students responsibility, time management, and soft skills. So you need to be tough with the student and not spoon feed them. If they're not submitting your the data you said, come on Thursday. They need to come with something on Thursday. You can say, no, it's fine. If you keep saying that, then they're going to take advantage of you. So always make sure that tough love, and receive tough love. It's not meant to punish you, but it's meant to, help you grow. And then the responsibilities of a student. I like the student here. She's got choices in the left side, and she's got a choice in the right side, and she chooses to graduate. That comes at a price. There's a lot that you will have to sacrifice after, if you choose the right side. If you choose to graduate, it means there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with you. So you are the main actor in the movie. You are Jennifer Lopez, you are Jackie Chan. When the movie starts and it says, when growing up, we didn't know how these things, we used to call it a staring, because when the movie starts, it will say staring, Sylvester Stallone, or, so that you are the staring, the closer people will understand that term. So you're the main actor of the journey, because, Jackie Chan and Jennifer Lopez, Whoopi Goldberg, all of these, they're the ones that get an Oscar. It's not the other people. They're the ones that take home an Oscar. Do you want an Oscar in this journey? So the journey is yours. The project is yours. You need to make sure at the end of the day, you take home an Oscar, which means project, proposal draft, you prepare it yourself. Even if it's the scholarship, grant scholarship applications, literature search, all of these you do it yourself. Methodology, ethics application, data collection, data analysis, final write-up and other outputs, your posters, your manuscripts and all of that. All of these, you do it yourself. Remember the supervisor is there to guide you. You are the one who must execute these, and your supervisor will be your number one critic. They are the ones who will criticize you, and you need to pay attention and listen. And when that draft is submitted, it may come as the one on the right-hand side, where it's written in all red. Don't lose heart. Just read through the comments and implement them. Remember, these are they've gone through the process. They know what is expected by the examiner. So they will write it. Sometimes they can be rude sometimes, and they write it all red. Sometimes they can write it green. Sometimes they can do it electronically. It doesn't look so bad when it's electronically. What are your responsibilities? The research topic must interest you. It must interest you. Remember, this is your journey. So you need to identify the knowledge, experience, the skills that you need in order to complete the project. So which means be proactive, be on the lookout for learning opportunities. You want to grow in this journey. You want to be more wiser. You want to have more knowledge. You want to have more skills at the end. So be on the lookout for these, because your postgraduate journey will give you that opportunity. Ask questions, especially if this is your first time doing postgraduate studies, especially if you are in a new university. Ask questions, be accountable, and you also need to hold your supervisor accountable. Deadlines must be met, meeting schedules must be kept, timelines are, if they are not met, you need to explain to them. So which means that's where the communication part comes in. If you're stuck, say so, ask for help, someone will help you. If there are changes in the project, communicate them with your supervisor. If there's any personal issues, some students are married and the next thing they found out they are pregnant, you need to communicate that with your supervisor. Always remember, unexpected delays can be there. If they can be avoided, please avoid them. But there are some that are not avoidable. But always know that delays are costly because you need to come back the next year. And it means you must pay the fees again. And then the do's and don'ts, I think I've covered most of this. Don't rush ahead without your supervisor's permission. Expect your supervisor, don't expect them to spoon feed you. So which means you need to be proactive. Treat your supervisor, treat your supervisor with respect and follow their advice. Do not undermine them and think that you are self-sufficient. You're not self-sufficient. Always make sure that you communicate and get your supervisor's advice. And then lastly, always there's at addendum 7, there's memorandum of understanding, which you need to make sure that you sit down with your supervisor, draft it. It will be unique. There's always templates. You can amend them so that they suit you, but it's always important to make sure that the memorandum of understanding is there so that there are expectations are communicated beforehand. So at the end of the day, you want everything to run smoothly, and also with the memorandum of understanding, it's personalized. So you speak to your supervisor, you tell them what your plans are for the journey, and that will be put in a memorandum of understanding. At the end of the day, you want what your supervisor wishes for, you want it to be there. So which means that you submit a manuscript at the end. That is the expected outcome. Thank you very much. Any questions? There's a question there. There's another one here.
Thank you, Doctor, for the great presentation. My question sort of is around, often the supervisor also is your HOD. So your direct manager, especially with regards, if you're an academic. So what's the best way to manage the possible conflicts of interest, the power relations that may come up? Yeah, just thoughts around that. Thank you.
I think the first thing to do is to remove the word HOD. Remove the word HOD. Remember, there's a mediator between you and the HOD. I'm sure now in the department there is the research coordinator. So if you feel that your needs are not being met because your supervisor is hindering you, you can communicate with the research representative there, and they can guide you, or maybe they can be your mediator between you and your supervisor. But at the end of the day, that word HOD, it really doesn't mean anything in terms of the student-supervisor relationship. He's your supervisor first, then HOD. He's an HOD to everyone else, but to you, he's your supervisor. Maybe later on, he's still your HOD, but I think you need to zoom into that relationship. If you feel you can't confront them because you're scared of them, then you need to get a mediator, someone who can come in and mediate that.
My question to you, Doc, is, I'm thinking as a student who's new to the institution, and I come into a department where supervisors are assigned. So that kind of flexibility of me approaching somebody to talk about this supervision relationship has kind of been limited away in that the department has meshed me with somebody else. in a situation where maybe even before coming to the institution, I had done my own research, and I would have preferred like somebody else to supervise me for whatever reason. Is there a provision, or what will be your advice in terms of navigating that to say, I'm being assigned this person, but I feel that it will be best if I work with another person for certain reasons?
That's where the HOD comes in. Because I think you can voice that concern with your HOD. And because at the end of the day, you need to be happy. I think in our department, we want to hear what the student wants to do. That is the priority. And then if we feel that, okay, it's not doable, let's, so you can then speak to your HOD and say, you know what, this is what I want to do. And the person that I feel is best suited to guide me is this one. But I've been already assigned with this, and this is not their specialty. How do I approach this situation? Maybe they can end up working together as co-supervisors to guide you. But I think it's very tough. It's a very tough situation. But I think communication, listen, at the end, must not be afraid of stepping on someone's toes. Because you are the ones going to be doing the work. You do not want to be unhappy doing a project you don't like and working with someone you're not gelling with, So be ready to step on someone's toes. There's a responsibility. They're not going to kick you out. They're not going to victimize you because you decided you don't want to work with them. It's not personal. So you have to have a thick skin when it comes to that. But do communicate your views, because you don't want to have the worst 2 years of your life or 3 years of your life because you were scared to speak up.